I heard that gyms in New Zealand hire a whole lot of extra equipment in January because everyone signs up for the gym and signs up for the year, and then they go for a couple of weeks and then they don't go anymore. So they hire all this equipment and then they let it go, and then you're locked in paying for the year. Is that right? I don't know. I heard someone say, man, I missed the gym again, missed going to the gym again today. That's 5 years in a row, kind of. And it's like, people do that. I don't know if that's true, but I did a bit of research, and it definitely is true that the 6 weeks now is the busiest time for gym. So everyone's like, man, it's a new year. This year is going to be my year. This is the year that I get fit and healthy and eat salads and lose weight and do all this stuff. And I think it's really easy to kind of mock that thing of New Year's resolutions and I'm starting with a bang and all that kind of stuff. But can I kind of going a bit heavy? The only thing worse than getting hyped up about New Year's resolutions is when you don't have a dream that this year is going to be better. And that disappointments from the past make us too fearful or hurt to dream again. And it's already been such a phenomenal morning with Pastor Mark's kind of exhortations and stuff. And I want to kind of pick that up because I just really want to set a scene that I believe that, we often talk about the front of church as like an altar. And I just feel like there's some stuff like, some stuff maybe from 2023, 2024, like, man, I want to leave it here this morning because I want to go into 2025 with a fresh start. I want to dream. I want to have hope. I want to do all these things. And so that's why we often say Happy New Year. I want to talk about a hope-filled New Year. And I pray that you walk out of this place going, man, there's some stuff that happened. Maybe I don't understand it. I'm not sure about it, but I left it here. And I'm ready to hit 2025. It's a new day. It's a new game. I'm on my game. It's going to happen this year. And some of the reason I've been thinking about that, there's a person in New Zealand that often sends me little prophetic words, and they're always uncanny time and accuracy. And I've written them down. On the 18th of December, they sent me this word, and they just said, I'm getting not to carry any disappointments with you into the next year. I thought, that's interesting. God wants me to do a bit of work and thinking over this, heading into Christmas. There's some things he doesn't want me to carry into the new year. And then 2 days later, they messaged me again and just said, you need to realign yourself to your hopes and dreams coming into a new year. Don't let them be diluted by any negative occurrences of the past. It's like, man, God really wants me to think about this stuff. And then later on that day, she said, the person said, a third one, you may feel a sense of your dreams not having been realized, being marred by certain happenings, but that is not so. The Lord is working all things together for good. And he who began a good work will complete it. And I thought, man, God really wants me to do a bit of an audit and do some work so that I start 2025. He wants me to start 2025 strong. And so I've been thinking about that, like, what are the things that I don't want to carry into 2025? And then I happened to just come across Bill Johnson. Many of you would know him from Bethel Church in California. He spoke 3 times leading into their new year, and he said, he just said, I want to do 3 messages on basically the same thing. 2025 is the year of the promised land. 2025 is the year to go after your promises. It's the time to pursue and take hold of your promises. It's about harvesting promised land promises, and he wanted to talk about how to step into that. But the flip side of that, he wanted to talk about this, how to not let disappointment rob you. And I was like, it's not just me. There seems to be something God is saying to people like, man, don't let disappointment, don't let fear make you start 2025 kind of holding back. I don't want to get my hopes up because I've hoped before and I got disappointed. I don't want to risk anything. It's like, no, it sounds like this is an important year. Pastor Mark just shared a word from Dr. Michael Maiden about year of harvest. And it feels like God's like, man, I want people ready to take hold of this year. And so Bill Johnson talked about some things like, fear robs us of that. He made this comment, I want to dream like I've never dreamed before. And this whole idea that promises how God draws us into our future. So this capacity to dream is connected to the promises of God, and disappointment robs people of courage for the future. And he quoted this famous passage in Romans 8, and he just made this little observation. It talks about, I'm convinced neither death nor life, no angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future or other things can separate you from the love of God. And he just made an interesting observation. He says, it says the present and the future can't rob you. And he just noticed it doesn't mention the past. And his thought was this, actually the past can rob you of your experience of God's love. And so he's like, yeah, the enemy wants to keep us focused. This is quoting him. The enemy keeps us focused on what didn't work so that we don't focus on what could work. Disappointment robs us of vision. God is the God of promise. Many believers, because of disappointment, have lost the capacity to dream. And I feel like God just wants us to prepare us to have a great year. To take hold of this year, like God has got some promises for me. He's put dreams in your heart, and I'm ready to go after them. And maybe there's some things that you want to leave here this morning from 2024 or 2023 so that you can go after 2025. And I feel like God's just in his gentle presence, he doesn't want us carrying disappointment into 2025. And he's ready to meet you today and settle some things and leave it here. How do you tell if you're being affected by this kind of stuff? Well, I want to quote a great American theologian called Annie, which is a musical. So all the creatives get ready to kick in. So this famous, if you know the musical, it's a story about a little orphan girl who lives in a very toxic orphanage and has these bad experience. But the musical is famous for a particular song. Anyone know what it is? Tomorrow, yeah. So you can all start singing in a minute. And this is the word. This is what the sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. When I'm stuck with a day that's grey and lonely, I just stick out my chin and grin and say, the sun. I need the creatives to kind of pick this up. The sun will come out tomorrow. So you got to hang on till tomorrow, come what may, because very good. That may sound kind of naive, Disney, whatever, but I think there's something actually profoundly theological and Christian about that deep down in my heart, I have this expectation that something good is coming my way. And really the test of whether maybe you need to leave some things at the altar. Do you start this year going, man, I don't know what it is, I don't know really what's happening, but I just know deep down inside that tomorrow is going to bring something good my way. And if you want a bit more biblical support for Annie the theologian, Proverbs 4 says this, the path of the righteous is like the morning sun shining ever brighter till the full light of the day. We're playing the long game. We may have to go through some things on the way, but the long game is tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be brighter. Tomorrow things are going to get better. Why? Because God is at work in our life. In fact, the Apostle Paul talks about 3 key Christian virtues, faith, hope, and love. We talk a lot about faith and love, but hope is important. And the devil often wants to rob us of hope. And how he does that is with disappointment. And it's like, man, some of us, I just need to get my hope back. And that's what I really sense, the gentleness of the heart of God. I would love that you could leave some things here this morning and walk out of here with hope. And the reason why this is so important, again, another famous parable, famous saying, Proverbs 13:12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Something gets sick on the inside when I face disappointment. And it's like, man, I just need to have that spark inside like Annie that just walks around going, whatever my circumstances, whatever's happened, I'm convinced tomorrow's going to be better. I feel like God really wants some people to know that. I feel like some people have had some hard things in 2023, 2024, and God doesn't want you starting 2025 from a place of disappointment. So what does it mean to start with a hope-filled new year? And I'm almost, I am embarrassed that the passage and the points that I'm going to say, because they're so basic, they're so simple. But I guess it's the difference when you've been through some stuff and you actually know this for yourself. And so I just want to look at one of the probably the most famous passage in the Bible, Psalm 23, and go, how do you have a hope-filled tomorrow? And really, again, just the first thing is really this, David said, just focus on the goodness of God. You know, the psalm starts this, the Lord is my shepherd. When you teach Christian meditation, it's about, I'm from dairy farming country, cows chew on their cud. It's like, just chew on the words and get the goodness out of each word. It's like, the Lord, the Creator God, is, not might be, I hope, no, He is my, not the person next to me, not just the pastors. No, He's my. He's what? The God, Yahweh, is currently my personal what? Shepherd. And you know, we're from, far. When I was young, New Zealand had a reputation for having 3 million people and 66 million sheep. So now I think it's evened up a bit. I think it's 5 million people and 22 million sheep. But we have a lot of sheep, okay. But they stay in nice green paddocks because it rains like this. But in the Middle East, the shepherd really had to take sheep on a journey from little patches of green grass and through to find the next place of grass. And it's like, man, there is someone guiding my life. There is someone leading my life. He's the creator of the universe, personally leading my life. And it's like, I could put my hope in everything else, but actually that's what my hope is on, that God is with me in the midst of this. You know, I love a couple of great thoughts. Psalm 59:2. For what you have done, I will always praise you in the presence of your faithful people. This, I will hope in your name, for your name is good. My hope isn't in the plans I had. My hope isn't even in what I understood God was going to do. My ultimate hope is this, in the character of God. Name means character. So I don't understand some stuff that happened. I thought you were going to do this. I don't understand why this happened. But God, but if I put my hope in that, I'm going to be disappointed. But I'll never be disappointed when I put my hope in the character of God. That He is a good God. And that I'm not going to be disappointed by that, because His goodness is not going to let me down. Because we live in a broken world and a fallen world and a world of mystery, I'm not always going to see that as I thought it was going to happen. But I can be confident His goodness is going to be with me. In fact, Psalm 33, even more specific, the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear Him, on those whose hope is what? In His unfailing love. He is a good God who is more committed to me than I am to Him. And actually, that's my hope going into 2025. God is with me. God is with you. God is for you. He will never let you down. His character. And so it's like, man, I just need to focus on the goodness of God. If I look at my circumstances, if I look at my hopes and dreams of what I thought was going to happen, I'm going to be disappointed. If I put my hope on God and His character and His commitment to me, He's never going to let me down. But that leads to the second thing. If you know Psalm 23, the center often of Jewish things is the key point, and it's really like, man, I need to learn to go through some stuff. Again, I was watching a little video clip of Bill Johnson being interviewed. He's like, man, you've got to learn how to process disappointment. Otherwise, it's going to kill you. And the middle of Psalm 23 is this: even though I walk through the darkest valley. It's not if I walk, it's, part of the journey will be walking through some dark spaces. And if my hope and expectation is everything is just going to be great, it's like, no, I need to learn how to walk with God, but I need to walk through those places. I don't want to get stuck in those places. I want to walk through them with God. My testimony is, God, you were with me through that. and I didn't see it coming. I don't believe you sent it. I don't understand why it happened, but God, you were there with us in the midst of it. And that's actually strengthened my hope. There's another similar psalm, Psalm 84, which talks about blessed life. And it has 3 different blessings. At the start, it's like, man, how lovely it is in God's dwelling place. And I'm blessed are those who dwell in your house. It's like, man, it's so blessed to be where everything's wonderful with God. But then he talks about, he discovered another kind of blessing. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose hearts are set on pilgrimage. It's like, man, I had to learn to go through some stuff. But I set my heart, I'm not going to camp here. I'm not going to surrender here. I'm not going to give up here. I'm going to go through this with God. And if you know this context, as they pass through the valley of Baca, which means the valley of tears, they make it a place of springs. The autumn rains also cover it with pools. Notice verse 5, blessed are those whose strength is in you. What happened in the dark places? They go from strength to strength. Man, I don't understand why that happened, but God, you met me there. And rather than coming out disappointed or bitter, actually you put a strength in me that was never there before. And it's like, man, I'm blessed when I'm in this place where everything's wonderful, but I'm actually blessed even when I go through some stuff because God's putting strength in my life. And I'm discovering wells of his presence in those places of disappointment. And so his conclusion as the third blessing is, man, ultimately this, blessed is the one who trusts in you. I trust in you when everything's going great because I get to enjoy your goodness, and I trust in you when it's tough because I know you're not going to leave me alone there. You're going to walk with me through this. And if I'll just humble myself before God, he's going to encourage me. So again, another great theological book. We're going on a bear hunt. Anyone read this? They're going after some goals, but they keep hitting obstacles. And the tagline is this: we can't go over it, we can't go under it, we've got to go through it. And maybe there's some stuff as you look back on 2024, like, yep, it was an obstacle. I would have preferred if God took us around it or over it, but do you know what? He took us through it. And I can either stand with disappointment or I can stand and go, God, you put something in me that I can face 2025 with strength. Which kind of leads to the final part of the psalm, really. And maybe I can get Josh back on the keyboards if that's all right. Which is this, the final part of Psalm 23 is I just need a renewed confidence in the good things coming your way. And the final part of Psalm 23, after, I'm trusting in him, I might have to walk through some hard things, but this is the confidence. This is the equivalent of Annie, tomorrow. This is David's Annie song. This is what he says. And I'd love you just to maybe, I don't know, just to engage with God, whether it's even just close your eyes or just open your heart. Because it's like, this is real simple stuff, but it's like, I'd love for you to carry this into 2025. So this is what he said. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. See, I got a choice. I can either focus on the enemies or I can focus on the table. I can focus on the things that didn't work out like I thought. I can look for the goodness of God's provision. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. God, I want to see the table. I want to see the touches of goodness, the touches of kindness. Man, I maybe walked through some hard things, but God, you were there and you did some good things in the midst. I don't want to trigger people or go into lots of detail about stuff, but I know there's some people here that have had miscarriages last year, and someone in our family had a miscarriage, and I was surprised how much it hurt. Wasn't and just, and I don't know, Christine and I were out shopping for baby clothes, and then we were praying for this for 10 years, and then it didn't happen, and it's like so disappointed. But then I can go, man, God, I just spent 7 days with my 4 grandkids in New Zealand, and just the connection with them, and go, God, I don't understand some stuff, but I'm so grateful for the blessing that I do have in life. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. The oil was used in lots of different senses of the Holy Spirit, but one of the things that they did, it was like the powder room. When you arrive at a house, you freshen up with oil. And again, God wants you starting 2025 fresh. I feel fresh. I don't feel tired. I don't feel bruised. I don't feel broken. It's like, man, tomorrow, something good is coming my way. There are promises. There's a promised land. I'm starting 2025 fresh. Verse 6, surely, definitely, no doubt about it, your goodness and love will follow me. And this is a bit of a preacher's cliche, but it's not like passive little dogs following along. It's the word used for when they would pursue an enemy. It's like they're hunting me down. They're coming after me. And it's like, that's that confident. I'm totally confident. If I haven't seen it yet, tomorrow, His goodness will arrive. And so because of that, I'm confident to go after His promises. I'm confident to go after the dreams. I'm confident to let God cause me to dream again. Man, I just feel God's just healing some people's hearts right now. Because 2025 can be a really big year. It can be a great year if we leave some things at the altar of 2024. And His ultimate thing, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This prophetic person kind of put the spotlight on me and said, Steve, you need to deal with some of this stuff so that you don't carry some things into 2025. And I was like, okay. And even in the worship, I'm just feeling God's downloading fresh dreams and bigger visions. And it's like, man, we're good to go again. And I'd love you to pick that up. What's the process? I feel like we kind of have to lay down disappointment. We have to reframe. We live in a broken world. Stuff happens. We need to embrace mystery. We need to relocate my hope to the character of God. I'm not going to be broken, tortured by disappointment. Number 2, we need to rediscover hope. This tomorrow, I love you tomorrow, you're always a day away. And when that happens, the third thing is we start to dream again. Acts 2, in the last day, God says, I'll pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions, your old men will dream dreams. Man, when I lay disappointment down, when I start to hope again, God can start downloading dreams. Come on, you need a fresh dream for 2025. And when I've got that, the fourth thing, now I can go after the promised land. God, you have told me that this is coming. And I feel confident to go after it and to pursue it. Could I invite you to stand?